Right, let's try that again. Hello everyone, welcome to the weekly Purple Penny coin and banknote video. My name's Mark. I own and run the Purple Penny with my wife Catherine. We're in our fifth year of operation here in Mawson Lakes, and I still don't know when the microphone's plugged in when I'm doing these videos. I'll blame it on a computer that hasn't been switched on for 2 weeks, and it took nearly an hour to switch on this morning, so I'll just blame it on technical problems. If you're watching later on the YouTubes, I'll edit out my mistake at the beginning of the video. Right, so we didn't have a video last week, and as Antonius knows, he's just commented there, Catherine and I decided to duck over to Sydney for a day to go to the Petersham show. Petersham show is a coin and banknote and stamp show that's held on the 5th Sunday of the month in Sydney, and it's at Petersham, funnily enough, in the Petersham Town Hall, I think it is, which is about a 10-minute train ride from Central in Sydney, and it's always fun when we go there. I think it's the 4th or 5th time we've been there, because you do see dealers that you don't necessarily see elsewhere. I guess from a coin show point of view, it was actually very quiet. We got there just a couple of minutes after opening because we spent a bit too long eating breakfast on Sunday morning, so we didn't get there for opening. But it was very quiet, and I think that's because there was another coin show the weekend before in Sydney. I believe the Ander show was the weekend before, and I guess people scratched their coin itches the week before. Now, that being said, we still had a good time, made a few interesting purchases and caught up with a few people. Still a little unusual when people come up and say hello to us and know who we are, and we've got no idea who they are. But we did see a few of our customers there. Antonius, who has already said that he caught up with us, and we saw Andrew Crellin from Western Australia, who owns Sterling Currency. He was there. We caught up with Eric from Drake Sterling. Eric had no coins there at all, sitting there looking resplendent as always. And then Robbie from Ensley Coins was there. We caught up with him in Adelaide, of course, at the expo. And we always enjoy looking through Tony Burns' inventory. Tony is a long-time coin dealer and was formerly the numismatist at the Royal Australian Mint. So Tony's been around the industry for a long time and knows a lot, and always has some interesting stock. If you are here in Adelaide, you'd know that we had our first sick day on Wednesday. It's the first day that we've been shut due to illness. And Catherine, unfortunately, was ill the whole week, wasn't able to come in the whole week. She's back on board today. I'm still fighting off whatever it was, unfortunately. And if you do follow us on Facebook, you would probably know by now that we're going to be closed next week. So usually we're open Wednesday to Saturday, but we're going to have some time off next week. So we'll be shut next Wednesday, Thursday, Friday and Saturday, which is the 15th to the 18th of November. And there will be no video on Monday either, so just one video in 3 weeks, unfortunately, but I'm sure that you'll survive. We'll be around, but will be no video and no shop opening, so if that causes inconvenience, we do apologise for that. And do try to get in, I guess, by Saturday and pick up if you need any coin holders or anything like that. Try to come in on Saturday. Right, coins in the news. There were some big archaeological finds this week, which you do know I do like archaeological finds. The first one was in Japan, where they were excavating a site for a new factory at a place called Mabashi, which is about 110 kilometres northwest of Tokyo, and they found more than 100,000 Chinese and Japanese coins neatly bundled up in bundles of 100 tied together with string, and there was more than half a cubic metre of them, which is a lot of coins. and they sampled a few of them. They took out 334 coins, and in the 334 they found 44 different types of coins dating from 175 BC through to about 1300 AD. And if you know your Japanese history, you'd know that around about then there was a big civil war in Japan in 1300 AD, and no doubt this was a local noble's treasure or a banker's treasure that was buried perhaps prior to a battle or something like that, in the hope that they would come back and dig it up after the battle, and obviously that hasn't happened. Interestingly, most of the coins are Chinese. China and Japan have a long history of trade between the two countries, and much of the early coinage that traded in Japan was actually Chinese rather than indigenous Japanese coins. So very interesting find there in a Japanese factory site. Now, the other find this week was by a scuba diver off the north coast of Sardinia. Sardinia is one of the two islands off to the west of Italy, Sardinia and Corsica. Sardinia is the island at the bottom. And a diver was basically snorkeling just off of the beach of Sardinia in the seagrass, and saw coins there in the seagrass that recent wave activity had uncovered. The diver contacted the police, who then contacted the local museum, and they've excavated more than 30,000 coins from just a few metres off the shore. The shape of the distribution of coins indicates it's probably a shipwreck, and apparently they are in magnificent condition. There's 30 to 50,000 of them. They're all copper or bronze folluses. I'm not sure if it's folluses or folli, all dating from about 300 to 350 AD, and all in a remarkable state of preservation. Now, I don't know how that happens, how bronze coins can spend 1800 years in the seawater and still be in wonderful condition, but you can see from the pictures there that the detail on those coins is quite extraordinary, and the idea that they're just off the coast, where you could have possibly swum across them, is pretty remarkable. Paul says the follis plural is follis. Follis. It looks awfully like follis. I'll get you to explain how to pronounce that some other time, Paul. Anyway, lots of follises found off the coast of Sardinia. Now, the next item in the news, I'll just pop the news slide up here, is the there we go, was coins in the Australian media, but I thought we'd just talk about the Isle of Man first. And the Isle of Man is the Isle of Man is a small island off the west coast of northwestern United Kingdom, and they have their own coins there. There's not a big population on the Isle of Man. They have their own coins there, which are the same size and shape and composition as the British coins. And they had a survey recently about getting rid of the 1p, 2p and 5p coins. And unfortunately the population decided that wasn't a great idea, because they were worried that the poor would somehow be disadvantaged by rounding. And of course, those of you who are old enough would remember when we got rid of our 1 and 2 cent coins, and that the same fear-mongering was carried on here, that people would be disadvantaged, and of course they weren't, and they wouldn't be on the Isle of Man either. And unfortunately the Isle of Man is going to keep using those small coins, despite the fact that they have no purchasing power and they cost far more to make than what they're actually worth. And it's a good example of sometimes people not knowing what's good for themselves, and that the Isle of Man could probably save a lot of money by just getting rid of those smaller denomination coins. To the credit of the government, though, they have said that they won't be making any more new coins, 1 cent, 1p, 2p or 5p coins. So once they're gone, and then the people are just going to have to live with them one way or another. It's interesting that small communities seem to think that they're somehow special and that the problems that haven't occurred elsewhere are going to happen to them. And of course that didn't happen here in Australia. There was no one really disadvantaged and we got rid of 1 and 2 cent pieces. Now, before we go on to coins in the media, I thought I would just share this coin with you. I did post up this on Facebook last week. There it is there. It's a 1930 penny. We've been here for, as I said, 4.5 years. And in the 4.5 years that we've been here, we've had a few real 1930 pennies come in here. Mostly they've been in the hands of other dealers that are trying to sell them to us. But we've never had one come in a collector's hands before, and several months ago we did have one come in collector's hands, and Peter's saying fine for it. It wasn't a bulk lot, unfortunately, Peter. It was a really good collection, but the person who'd brought it in perhaps didn't understand the quality of the collection. So this 1930 penny came in a bag of other coins. The other coins were all mostly very nice as well. But they were contacting each other in that bag, perhaps $30,000 worth of coins in a plastic bag. And the gentleman did know what he had, and we paid him a very fair price for this 1930 penny, and it was the first real one we've had come in a collection before. So I guess as coin dealers, I guess it's a rite of passage owning and a 1930 penny. I never thought one would come in here, and I guess it was a little thrill for me as a coin collector and a coin dealer to have one of these come in here and be able to use the knowledge I had to be able to identify as real, even though I've never had really the opportunity to pick a real one before. I've certainly picked a whole pile of fake ones. So it was a bit of a thrill, and I will thank Peter, who is commenting here, for confirming what I thought about this coin when it came in. And we sent it to, after the negotiations to purchase it, we sent it to PCGS to have it graded. It's come back VF30. There, you can see it there. How much does it cost to have a 1930 penny graded by PCGS? Several $100s. It's not cheap. And how long did it take? Well, we got the grade very quickly, only about 10 days after the coin was sent away, but unfortunately it took 7 weeks from that period to get it back here to Australia. So while their grading process might be quite quick, their shipping process was fairly deplorable. For it to take 7 weeks to get through their shipping department is nuts. But it's here. It's real, it's the grade that we expected, and at some point it'll end up on our website for sale. For me, as a coin collector, does it excite me? Not really. It's a nice enough circulated coin. It's a sort of even brown colour and all that sort of thing, but I guess circulated pennies don't really move me as a collector. But if you are into pennies, there's no doubt that this is the coin to have. It's certainly the best known coin in Australian coin collecting, apart from maybe the $2 these days, but certainly everyone that comes in here knows about the 1930 penny. Right, I thought that we would just have a look at some coins that have been in the news in the last couple of weeks, and we can usually tell when coins are in the news because the phone starts ringing. Funnily enough, Catherine didn't know that one of the coins I'm going to talk about today was in the news, but she did note that we had a few phone calls about these coins today, and she was wondering why. So the first one is a 1968 2 cent. Last week there was a news story put up on, I think it was Yahoo or Nine or something, where some twit had taken a screenshot of this coin that was up for sale on the Downies website and just said with absolutely no context that the 1968 2 cent was worth $500. There was just no context at all around why it was worth $500. Now, the 1968 2 cent is, I guess, the key date of the 2 cent series. Despite that, there's still 17 million of them minted. Here in the shop, we probably have 300 or 400 1968 2 cent pieces, so they are not a rare coin. And we have so many of them now that we don't really look for them anymore when 1 and 2 cent pieces come in, because it's just not worth the hassle. So are they desirable? Yes, they are desirable if they're uncirculated. They're a little bit harder to find in uncirculated grades. They are certainly desirable if they're still in a roll. 1968 2 cent rolls are very highly sought after. And mint state PCGS graded examples are desirable too. So it turns out that the Downies coin that this rocket surgeon of a journalist said was worth $500 was a graded coin, graded by PCGS as MS66 red. $500 is expensive for that coin. One sold about 12 months ago on eBay for $130. The realistic commercial value of an MS66 red is probably more like $200, and lower graded ones going down accordingly. We don't have any problem here selling uncirculated 1968 2 cent pieces for about $50. They sell fairly quickly that way, but we hardly ever see them. Lower MS64s and 65s, you're looking at $75 or $100. So are they worth $500? No, they're not worth $500. Is a circulated coin 1968 2 cent piece worth $500? No, it absolutely isn't. So like everything with coins, 1968 2 cent pieces, condition is everything. Condition is everything. It is everything, and it is the only thing really that matters with the value of these coins. I don't value circulated 1968s as more than $1 anymore. We've tried auctioning them and done all sorts of things to try and move them on, and the last lot that we auctioned, we got less than $1 per coin. So what are they worth $500? No. Are they worth hunting through bulk lots of 1 and 2 cent pieces for? Well, if you've got nothing else to do with your time, then sure, why not? But are you going to find one that's worth $200 or $500? Extremely unlikely. In 4.5 years and many hundreds of kilos of 1 and 2 cent pieces, we would have found less than 10 uncirculated 1968 2 cent pieces. So they're not worth $500. The next item was the same journalist just a couple of days later talking about no SD 2 cent pieces. And the journalists completely contradicted themselves in between the two articles, because they talked about the no SD. So if you're wondering what that is, it's a die variety where Stuart Devlin's initials are missing off of the reverse of the coin. And this is a 1981 no SD here that you can see a picture of. And the SD initials are missing between the two claws. Now, I'm on the fence about the no SD, about whether it was missing off of the dies, or I don't know whether it was a filled die or missing off of production dies. Perhaps people that have more knowledge than me can share what the belief is around it. But we don't bother looking for them anymore either, simply because circulated no SDs are impossible to sell. They have no real particular value, maybe $5 or $10, and as such, we've got several of them in albums here that have been there for many months and haven't moved. So when are they worth something? They're worth something if they're uncirculated. Again, it just comes down to condition. So if you can find an uncirculated 66, 67, 68 or 81 2 cent piece with these SD initials missing, then they seem to sell fairly strongly. We've found a few 81s with mint red on them. We get between $100 and $200 for them fairly quickly. But once they're circulated, they're very difficult to move. So what are they worth in uncirculated grades for any year? $100 plus. If you can get premium grades with PCGS, so that's 64 red or better, then you might be looking $200 up to $1,000 for 68s and 67s. So they can be worth something. Are they worth hunting for in circulated grades? Well, unlikely, unless you can find a whole group of them at once. Unlikely. Again, we have found several dozen in the last 4.5 years, and other than the red ones, they are very difficult to sell. Now, the contradiction in this article was saying that 1968 2-cent pieces with SDs on them were worth up to $165, despite the fact just 3 or 4 days beforehand the same journalist had said they were worth $500. So again, don't read the articles and think that the values actually mean something. Next one, I don't know where the heck this one's come from. 1996 Henry Parkes dollar. I must have had 20 phone calls about this last week. I've got a dollar with the old Indigenous man on it. And of course, Henry Parkes isn't Indigenous as far as I know. He's known as the founding father of Federation. He was on what is probably the ugliest circulation dollar coin that there is. 26.2 million of them minted. The uncirculated CV is $7, but realistically, they are unsaleable. We would never get people in here asking for an uncirculated Henry Parkes dollar. But there are some idiots on eBay that are asking several $100s for these coins, and I have no idea why. Some people in the media have picked it up and saying that they're worth several $100s just because some space cadet is asking that. And of course they're not, they're worth $1. So if you've got a Henry Parkes dollar, it is worth $1. And if you don't believe me, contact the people on eBay that are asking hundreds of dollars for them and offer to sell your Henry Parkes dollar to them for $5 or $10. And I bet you don't hear back because they know it's not worth hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Now, Alex says he thinks that some of the Parkes dollars have rotations. Yes, I believe that they have a bit of rotation on some of them. Not much of a rotation though, like 11 o'clock or 1 o'clock or something. Right, next item, and you probably all know what this is the 1988 50 cent. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about this one. Your 1988 50 cent is worth 50 cents. Now, I know that there are some articles going around talking about 1988 50 cent pieces being worth something, and those are errors or mules or die variations or whatever you want to happen to call them. Someone in the mint struck 1988 50 cent pieces with the regular coat of arms reverse, and yeah, they're worth a lot. But this coin that you see here right in front of you, the bicentenary 50 cent piece there with the tall ships on the reverse side of it, has a UNC catalogue value of $16, but the realistic value in UNC is $5 to $8, and once it's circulated it's worth 50 cent. And again, while the realistic value might be $5 to $8, in reality, we wouldn't have sold more than 5 or 10 of these in 4.5 years. And why is that? It's because many of these were put into money boxes, and many houses have high-grade examples of these coins available for 50 cents. They're not hard to find, and they're not worth anything. So if you've got a 1988 50 cent, and you think it's valuable, read the rest of the article about it and understand what the difference is between the valuable ones and the not valuable ones. The one with the boats on it is not valuable. Right. That's it for this week. I was a little bit worried I was going to say something I regretted this week because I am still feeling a little bit under the weather, but I think I've come through that without sticking my foot in my mouth. A couple of people asked why we did the post about the plastic bags on Saturday, and that's just because when someone rings up and they tell us, oh, I've inherited a bag of coins or a tub of coins or a tin of coins, or mum's passed away or dad's passed away, what should we do with them before we bring them in? And we always just say nothing, just bring them in the way they are, and we'll look through them. And there's a few reasons for that. Firstly, it takes a long time to sort coins out. If you haven't done it before, it does take a long time. And if you're not really feeling up to it, then there's no real need. You don't need to put them in separate plastic bags unless you want to, and that's because the first thing we do when we buy a collection is we take it out of the plastic bag. So unfortunately, all that effort that you've gone to is wasted, and it's not good for the environment, really. If you enjoy it, they are your coins, you can do what you like, but it's not doing us any favours, and in the long run it's not doing anyone any favours by doing that. So that's why we said it. It is sad to see all that plastic going to waste, and many times the bags are so small that it's very difficult to get the coins out. Now, should you store your coins that way long term in little Ziploc plastic bags? Yep, absolutely. It's a great low cost way of storing coins in a safe environment. So, for example, if you're collecting coloured circulated $2 coins or commemorative 50-cent pieces or things like that, then it is a great low cost way of storing them, and we would never ever discourage anyone from doing that. But if you are selling a collection that you've inherited and it's unsorted, then you are quite able to bring it into a dealer like us or anywhere else completely unsorted, and we'll happily sort through it for you. That's why we're here, and it's what we do every day. We don't care about getting our fingers dirty, and if we do our job properly, we're not going to miss anything. You're going to realise the value of the collection. We won't miss it. So so people who didn't understand why, that's why, really. Alright, now let's have a look at some questions here, if there's any questions here. Mike Ellery says that the Parks dollars look worn, even new. Yes, they do. Jason says Parks was an ivory carver from England. Now, Jason, I noticed that your name is the same, so I wonder if he's one of your ancestors. I didn't know he was an ivory carver from England. I know that he was a leading proponent of Australia becoming a federation in 1901. Peter says because they do not know how to do investigative journalism. No, they don't. No, they don't. Richie says some clown on Gumtree has one for $200. Well, good luck with that one. Gwen says thank you. I hope you and Catherine fully recover soon. Thank you, Gwen. That's much appreciated. Matt says any update on the 35th anniversary $2 set? Sorry if I missed it. No, there's no update. There's no news. There's nothing. Right, that's it for this week. Thank you everyone for watching. As I said, no video next Monday, so we'll be back in 2 weeks, and we are closed next week, so please don't come into the shop next week. Alright, thank you everyone for taking part. Thank you for your questions and your comments. It's much appreciated as always. Have a safe and happy week, and happy collecting everyone. Bye for now.